2 years after the disappearance, they're still lying, and they're lying to authorities about how they met. Initially, they had told family members, they both told family members, that they were concerned about what it looked like, that they had met so soon after the disappearance of Victoria Prokopovitz, the victim in this case. But now, 2 years later, they're still lying. The question is why? So I think that seems rather powerful for the prosecution's case.
Well, anytime that you can not only call the defendant a liar, but to some degree prove it, it's always powerful for the government's case. Again, it's part of that character assassination attempt we spoke of earlier. However, in this case, the specificity of what he is being accused of lying of does also look bad. However, you can also explain it to some degree. And what I mean by that is that oftentimes when somebody who is going to be the sole suspect of a murder investigation is going to be questioned, the amount of fear that that person has to deal with, and having no experience in the criminal justice system, it is very common for them to give conflicting stories, to leave things out intentionally, to be mistaken. And the reason for it, again, is because of the effects of fear on the brain. Now, the government won't ever tell you that. They intentionally don't, because they want it to look as worse, if not, terrible, that they can. However, hopefully the defense is going to have a psychologist who can come tell you about the well-known effects of either false or inaccurate testimony information from a defendant, either during a statement or even at other points. There's many famous cases where people completely confessed to the crimes they were being accused of and went to prison, and later found out that the reason they confessed because of the fear that they received through intimidation by the police officers. Very well known. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But the fact that they admitted it is important. And I'll say one last thing about why that is. When it comes to jurors, we can forgive those who regret or say they're sorry for their sins. However, even God hates a liar. And if this gentleman gets on the stand and testifies, which is looking more and more like it's probably a good idea, if he can just say, look, I was scared, I admit it, I didn't always tell the truth, wasn't hiding anything as much as I just wanted to be left alone, because I didn't know what the right thing to say was. They can forgive him for that, and there'll be little things he can get wrong, but it's looking bad.
It's interesting. I want to dig into what you said there, that it's looking more like a good idea for him to take the stand. I mean, there's still some question as to the strength of the prosecution's case. This is also a guy who's not a communicator. Clearly, we've heard testimony. He's a quiet guy, doesn't like to talk about himself. When he does talk, it seems like a few times when he talked to authorities, he has not been terribly truthful. He's not a guy who's been in a lot of trouble, but yet again, it seems like a bit of a Hail Mary at this point. If you say you want to put him on the stand, why do you think it's a good idea, or it's getting to be a good idea?
Well, having done a lot of criminal defense and a good number of murder trials, there's a saying we all have in this field, that is, you want to walk, you better talk. The jury can hear from him, and if they can feel safe while listening to him, if he is not as creepy as the government's doing everything they can to make him appear, he's got a much better chance. Now, the other side of it is oftentimes people say, well, I don't want to put my defendant up against the scrutiny of a trained professional cross-examiner, such as the prosecuting attorney, that they're like a hawk or a vulture, and they'll just pick his carcass apart. And I've heard that school as well. I'm here to tell you that all the trials I've done, well over 100, I've never found a prosecutor who could cross-examine with a damn. They're terrible at it, because they usually don't get a chance to do it, and their attitude's all wrong, because they're very judgmental. Put my people up on very serious murder cases with as many as 6 witnesses testifying against them were all rats, and still won those cases, because the art is in preparing your client, and hopefully that's exactly what this person's doing.
All right. Well, these are pretty experienced prosecutors. Not sure that they would mess the opportunity up. We'll have to wait and see. Right now, Joe, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll definitely get